Hello and welcome. My name is Khadija Mitchell, and I'm the host of this channel, Journey into the Soul, where I offer meditations, intuitive messages, and yoga nidra. So, there's so much on my heart today that I feel called to share or discuss or whatever, and we'll just see. We'll see where we go. So, I titled today's live stream, "Don't Give Up, Your Breakthrough is Near." Freedom is found through courage, right? With courage. And I think that it's like this. I woke up this morning and I was reading some of the comments. I haven't replied to any of them yet, but reading some of the comments on some of the prior meditations, and I was also just kind of tuning in to what's going on in my world, what's going on in people's worlds around me and my friends, and kind of tuning into some of those. And um, I was really feeling this heartache, like this just deep heartache that I could feel from other people, that other people are going through. But I was also feeling this like tiredness. Like some of you out there that have been on this path for a while, that have been working on yourself, tending to yourself, working on changing yourself, evolving and growing. Like some of you are really tired. You're tired of feeling like you've been working at it, working at it, working at it, and maybe you don't see what you want to see yet. And there's this huge, like, don't give up, that just kept hearing this whisper of don't give up, don't give up. Tell them don't give up, don't give up. And and that's what I'm here to talk about today, is just not giving up. And that often the time that we want to give up, the moment that we feel so tired and so just depleted, is often like right before the breakthrough occurs. It's like that final challenge that we have to go through to show that we're really ready. And I was talking to a friend last week, and I was talking about how, think about when a butterfly, right, goes through its metamorphosis of being the caterpillar and morphing into the butterfly. Think about how much energy it takes for that creature to form and move from the caterpillar into the butterfly. And think about the immense energy it takes in that cocooning stage for it to break out of the cocoon and turn into that beautiful butterfly, right? That's just one example. All that, like, tension, all that pressure, all that buildup then explodes into this gorgeous, beautiful butterfly that has completely transformed. And I mean, the same can be said about like so many things. How much pressure does it take to create a diamond, right? Like so much pressure to create a diamond. Like often we can feel depleted or run down, but really that it's just the pressure crystallizing around us to turn us into that butterfly. So if you're one of the people that this message is for, if you're feeling that pressure, if you're feeling that like, oh, I'm just so tired, right? Like, don't give up. Don't give up. Keep going. This is not the end, right? Your breakthrough is near. And I'm hearing that, just keep going. Sometimes it feels like literally putting one foot in front of the other. All and really, I was gonna like about to say, like, sometimes it feels like all we can handle is this moment or this day. And that's really all we should be focusing on. We should just be focusing on what's right in front of us, this moment, right now, today. Not worrying about everything else, but just this one right here, this moment, because this moment will lead us to the next and to the next and to the next, right? We don't need to try to look at it all at once and digest it all at once. We need to just be present where we are. Breakthrough. For a star to be born, it must first collapse. This is not your destruction. This is your birth. This is your rising into the greatest version of yourself. And sometimes that's messy. And I can tell you from my own experience, yeah, it sure is. Every time I'm working on becoming and evolving into the next version of myself, it always takes like this feeling of almost a breakdown to break through, right? This like deep um, soul searching time where you really have to just excavate. Not It's not really excavation, but like really be with where you are. And sometimes it feels like this deterioration because that's what it is. It's a death of the old self. It's a saying goodbye to what was so you can embrace what is. And that can feel super scary and uncomfortable because we've never been there before. But we keep going because when we keep going, we're signaling to the universe that we really are ready. And then that breakthrough occurs. And it happens when we least expect it. We cannot try to, and that's the other thing. Like I'm hearing, if you're trying to control it, it's not that it's further away from you. It's just like, you know, it's I'm here, it's not delayed, but it's also not going to happen when you want it to either. So don't try to control it because the control actually creates resistance. The control actually creates that tension in the body, why can't it just be, right? Because it's right here. We're right now. This is the moment. This is the one that matters. So be here. So let's just think, let's hold that space real quick. What is that dream on your heart? What is that thing that you're reaching for, that you've been reaching for, that you're working toward? And how are you feeling about that right now? Are you ready? Are you eager? Do you still have that fiery burning passion that you had the moment that idea came into your mind? Or are you tired? Are you depleted? Are you feeling like I've been doing this, I've been doing it, I'm tired, I just want to rest? And maybe that's what you need to do. But don't give up. And I also want to remind you that rest, that taking a break, that taking a step back is not giving up. Taking a day off is not giving up. That's actually what your body is asking you to do. And a lot of the time in those moments where we just take a second, take a beat, take a breath, a lot of the time, that's when we let go. And that's when the miracle sweeps in because we're not trying anymore. And this other message has been coming through a lot for me lately, and it doesn't matter really how you view it, like whatever you believe in, whatever you want to call whatever you believe in, God, source, universe, infinite intelligence, maybe it's like it doesn't have a name to you, whatever you want to call it. It's there to support your every move, and whatever you have, wherever you're at and whatever stage you're in of your dream, of that desire on your heart, even if it's just to heal, you can place it on the altar. You can place it on the altar of, I say place it on the altar of God, but you can say whatever you want. Give it over to the universe. Give it over to something beyond you and let it go. Let it go out of your hands. Take the step that's right in front of you. I want to talk a little bit about this. Your freedom is found with courage. Your freedom is realized through courage. We're all already free. We are free. We already are. It might not feel like it. I get it. I really do. I mean, I went through various stages in my life where I could have looked at where I was at and went, I am not free. There's no way I can't do this without that person, getting mad at me. I can't do that without, I could have made a list and I did. I'm certain I did. And probably made lots of them about all the ways I wasn't free. But in that, I was solidifying my own prison. I was creating the cage around myself. And it's Rumi that says, why do you stay in the prison when the door is wide open? right? That it is really within our own minds, it's within our own hearts. And the only way that we truly realize that we are free is if we have courage. Because we have to have courage to be greater than our fears, because our fears are what are keeping us in that perceived cage. We have to have courage to think greater than we feel. We have to have courage to see beyond our physical reality and where we are right now to a future that we don't have evidence of yet, but is just in our hearts. That takes real courage. But in doing that, you're free. You are embracing your freedom. I I share sometimes I share vulnerable stuff on here about my life because I feel like shared vulnerability is important. You get to know me a little bit better and you can see, like if I could do it, you can do it. Really. But been if you've been watching my channel, I've got 2 kids. My oldest is 17 now. Oh, who would believe that? That's kinda crazy. Sometimes I don't even believe it. Fool myself sometimes. Just kidding, but yeah, I do. Um, but yeah, and my children have been my greatest teachers. They have they have been my greatest teachers. And their biological father has been another of my greatest teachers because that relationship was turbulent, it was abusive, it was volatile, it was very toxic. And I was very young. I was, 17 when we got together and 20, 21 when I finally found my freedom from that. But that experience in my life, even though it happened at that time from, 17 to 21, that experience put a cage around my heart for a long time. That experience made me feel like I was in a cage, even when I wasn't. Because even in the years after that, I was dealing with various things, custody, whatnot, things like that, that really made it feel like I was locked down. Couldn't leave the state that I was living in at the time because I was shared custody. All that's come and passed, and I'm now in a whole different place in my life. I've moved on. I no longer live where I was, no longer have contact. My children I have sole legal custody of my children, and they're doing very well, you know? And but I couldn't have gotten there if I had stayed in the mentality that I was trapped. I could never have broken free and found my freedom from that if I had continuously given into the story that I wasn't able to, that I was never going to be able to leave, that this was the worst thing that could possibly the things that I used to say about that were not serving me ultimately. And ultimately, it took a deep forgiveness in my heart of their biological father and of myself, who I was at that age, who I was at that time, to put myself in that situation, to find myself there, all the guilt, all the shame, all the pain. I had to forgive. But it was through the courage that I had to have, through that courage to forgive, the courage to see beyond the reality that I was in and envision something better for myself and believe it was possible, that got us out of there. It was giving it over to whatever you want to call it. I call it God, giving it over to God and saying, I give this to you. Help me do what's the best for my children, the best interest for my children. It was no longer about me. It was for my children. What can I do that's for the best for them? And I remember there was a time where I didn't feel strong. I didn't feel like I had courage. I didn't feel like I could do it. And so what I did was, instead of praying for, please take this away, please make it go away, please make it stop. I've been there before too. Instead of doing that, what I prayed for, what I said was, God, help me find the courage I know I have within myself to overcome this situation. God, help me find the strength that I know I have within myself to make it through this. Help me find my strength because it's in here. And you have it in you. You have the strength, you have the courage, you have the ability to experience freedom to its fullest, no matter what life has you in right now, no matter what circumstances that are around you that make you feel like you're locked down. You have the ability to overcome it. But you have to, one, believe that it's possible. Because if you don't, there's no way out. I mean, I I spent like 8 years believing that I was not gonna be able to overcome it or there was no way out, and it wasn't quite 8 years because that was when I finally got custody, was at the 8-year mark. But, like, I mean, I spent a long time thinking that I couldn't overcome it, and that didn't help me, didn't serve me. It didn't solve my problems. As a matter of fact, it made them worse, and it made life harder, and it made it more difficult. So I had to believe in something greater than what I could see with my eyes at that time. I had to believe that there was a future for me that I couldn't see. I had to trust in a power beyond myself to guide me. And when I didn't feel like I had the strength to go on, I had to ask for help to find that strength within me because I know it's there. And we all have that ability. And those are things that I still call on. I still, when feel a little bit nervous or a little scared, I still ask, hey, help me find the strength I know I have within myself. Hey, help me find the courage I know I have within myself. Hey, help me find the happiness I know I have within myself. Because it's all there. It all exists within you. You don't need anything outside of you to find it. Yeah, we can ask for help to find it. Like we can ask for higher power to come in and help. But really, my belief is that's all within us anyway. So it's all in there, it's all inside. And don't give up. I know some of you, and I was feeling it really strongly this morning to share this. Like some of you are just like one day after another, feeling very numb to life, feeling very numb to the world, and trying so hard to feel something other than what you've been feeling, and trying so hard to just trying so hard. And what I'm here and I'm feeling so called to share is let go of that trying. You are exactly where you need to be, and this is your transformation. This is the moment right before the breakthrough. Don't give up. Keep going. Keep doing the work. Keep taking the time for yourself. Keep meditating. Keep taking those pauses in your day. And have the courage. Have the courage to see beyond where you currently are. Sometimes it's like I'll say, you got to tend to yourself. You have to care for yourself. And some of you might say, well, I am. I am taking care of myself. I meditate. I eat healthy. Why do I still feel that way? Why can't I let it go? And because there's a part of you that believes more in who you used to be than who you want to be. There's a part of you that has more faith in the pain and the hardships that you've been through than a future you cannot see. And that is that's a hard pill to swallow. That's a hard reality to accept when we're actually giving in more to our past than we are to our future. A lot of the time we'll be like, no, I'm future oriented. No, I'm not doing that. Take a moment, take a break, take a beat. Really check in with yourself. Check in with how you're feeling. I can tell you right now that for me, and I've said this before, I feel it right in my gut, right? And so I can be thinking all the positive thoughts I want. I can be thinking all forward future, thinking, meditating. But if I've got that pit in my gut, I'm living in the past. And so it's not about trying to change my thoughts at that moment. It's trying to change my energy. You're like, how do you do that? Well, it's practice. It really is practice. Sometimes I have to sit there. I sit in my meditation and I focus on the area in my body where I feel that tension, and I just infuse it with loving thoughts. and I send it into that area instead of here. Like instead of just reeling over in our mind, like, okay, I'm allowing myself to feel better. I believe in, whatever you say. I mean, our affirmations are different, but sometimes if I just think it up here, the feeling in my gut gets worse because my body doesn't believe it. And a lot of us are doing that. We're trying to use affirmations, but our body doesn't believe it. And so it's actually kind of keeping us in that cycle of like, like fear-based thinking, right? And so we actually have to sit with the body and we have to start talking to the body and working with the body in those places. And I'll sit there with my gut and I'll infuse those loving thoughts into there. I'll, I'll this is one of my practices that I do. I Little segue. We all have an electromagnetic field that is uh, generated by our heart and our brain, right? Like we've got our electromagnetic fields around our body. And so there's a field around your body that you cannot see with the naked eye, but you can sense it and you can feel it. And some of you do. And some of you can see other people's what we call auras and whatnot, but we're not going to go into that right now. But there's this field that's around our body. And that field is where all information about us lives. And anything that occurs within the body is imprinted in that field first. And so, without going too much further into it, just going to say that we can talk more about that later. And um, anyway, I'll pause there. What I like to do is I like to infuse around my abdomen, right, like my gut. I send the thoughts into the field around my body, in around my abdomen, and I just send those thoughts all around it, and I just see my stomach and my solar plexus and my sacral chakra and everything just absorbing all of that into it. And so instead of trying to focus on the material object, the physical object, I focus on the energetic object around me, right? Really object, energetic space, right? So maybe just play with that. I mean, you can do it with your hand if you just want to play around and test it, right? You can like hold your hand out and just focus on the space around your hand, and likely you're going to start to feel some tingling in your hand, right? And then you can start feeling it more and more, and you can just start doing that. You can do it with around your head and send positive thoughts into your head. But that's one of the things I like to do when I'm feeling a little like log jammed in my fear-based thoughts, right? It doesn't it's no those aren't serving me, so how do I get out of it? That's one practice I like to use. And just take a beat. Take a beat. Get real honest with yourself. How is your body actually reacting and responding to the practices that you're doing? And are we getting stuck in that thinking feeling loop? Are we believing more in the past than we are in the future? I know I referenced Dr. Joe Dispenza quite a bit. I really appreciate his work, and I think part of it is that I studied physics when I was in my bachelor's degree, and we were taking quantum physics one semester. I was two semesters quantum physics, but anyway, that was the first semester I started to actually have an understanding of some of the things that I was feeling and experiencing about life, and I feel like I finally was able to, like, understand it in a deeper way, even if I couldn't put words to it in a way that other people would understand. Because I remember trying to talk to my friends, and they'd be like, that's just Khadijah being her silly self and, whatever." But I had all these, like I was like, "Oh, man, we're all just like these energy blobs moving around and interfering with everybody's energy," and, like, all this, like, "Man, we really are so much more connected than we give ourselves credit for." I had all these, like, beliefs in my mind, but didn't know how to articulate them, and, so when I found, Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, it really he articulates it in a way that I'm like, "Yeah, you put words to everything I was feeling in a way that's actually digestible by people who don't understand, you know, quantum physics, and even, like, they can't talk about it in that way, and I couldn't even really talk about it in that way. So anyway, so I really appreciate that, but so that's often why I'll reference I really appreciate his work. And he talks about how you have to be like with our thoughts, you have to be like Gandalf on the bridge, right? Lord of the Rings, if you've seen that, right? Like, "You shall not pass." The moment we hear those negative thoughts in our mind, we have to just cut them off at the source. We know they are not allowed to pass. They cannot keep on going. We can't keep doing it. If we wanna change, if we wanna get to that future we have in our heart, we have to stop giving into those old ways of being and thinking and feeling. We can't keep doing that. That is not serving us. That is actually keeping us in the past. And so if we wanna move on, if we wanna get to that future that we have in our heart, you've gotta think greater than you feel. We have to think different thoughts. We have to work with the body, and we have to send and infuse the body with those different thoughts. We have to start getting ourselves into a new habit of subconscious thinking and unconscious thinking a lot of the time. Like, even, one of the things is like, I can't feel love. I can't feel love. Like, how many times I've heard people say that. And if you have that belief, if that is what you are telling yourself, you guessed it, that is what you're going to get. That's just it. That's what we're going to get. And like, I I'm saying this not just from like some, oh, like, whatever. This is like my own lived experience. This is the way I understand life from my experience. It doesn't have to be true for you, right? It doesn't have to. You can live wherever you need to live. This is just the truth that I've experienced in my life. But if I stayed in those places in my life, if I had stayed in those thought patterns, if I had believed like, "Oh, it's never gonna change. I'm never gonna get out of here. I'm never gonna be able to, move away. My kids are always gonna be in harm's way with this person." If I had let those thoughts continue to be in my mind, that's all I would have gotten. I had to start believing, "No, there's a way out. I'm gonna find a way out. There's better for us. We're meant for more. We're meant for something else." Everything really is gonna be okay. That's, like, my favorite. And that might not work for you, but that is one of my favorites. Everything's really gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. Just settling myself down. It's all gonna be okay. It's gonna be better than okay. And everything can be okay even as things are falling into place. So we have to think greater. And yeah, sure, there was a time where I would tell myself those things before we, like, got out of that situation, right? And I didn't believe it. I didn't. But I also knew that I had to start somewhere. And I and now this is like, almost 10 years later. It's kinda wild. And you can look back and go, "Wow." And then that was just like one evidence of things that happened. There were so many different times in my life where I have used that, where I've had to think greater than I felt, where I had to believe something that I couldn't see, and I had to keep believing in it. We have to keep believing it. We have to have the courage and to believe in it. And when we do that, we realize that we're already free. We have to have courage to realize that nothing is actually out of our like reach. We're gonna do just a short meditation in a minute, um, just to close this up for the day. I'm just gonna see if there's anything else I want to say. There came a point in my life where I had to decide what was more important. And I wouldn't say that this is the only point in my life. I'm certain there's going to be numerous like stepping stones like this. But I had to decide whether holding on to the anger or holding on to the resentment towards other people, right? To what had happened to me, to what I'd been through. I had to decide if that was really worth my peace. Because ultimately, every time I sat there and rehashed in my mind what I'd been through, I would send my body back into the physical state in which it was in whenever I went through it, right? Like some of you have heard, your body doesn't know the difference between a thought you're thinking and an actual experience you're living. And so every time I would sit there and dwell on the past and think about what I'd been through, I would be reliving it and I would be in turmoil. And then who knows how many days that would be, I'd be there. And I remember one time when I was bartending. This was before I went back to school. My kids were very little, and I was in one of my depression stages. Like I would get these like bouts of depression for a few days, and sometimes it was a few days, sometimes it was a few weeks. It just depended like where I was at and what was happening. But I remember I'd been like, kind of reliving and rehashing and whatever. And I remember thinking, man, I think I'm just really addicted to being sad. And you know what? I was. That's exactly what I was doing. I was addicted to my own sadness. I was addicted to my heartbreak because I felt like I had deserved so much more in those moments. And instead, I had been hurt. And nobody had, whatever, nobody had seen it or been there for me or whatever. And that was not true. Actually, there were a lot of people that had, at that time in my life, been trying to be there for me, but I wasn't receiving their help because I was so addicted to my depression. I really was. I was addicted to suffering because I had grown up in a turbulent home, moved out when I was 16, and moved right into another turbulent home. And so when I got out of that, all I had known was turbulence. All I had known was chaos. All I had known was suffering and sadness. I mean, maybe not fully, right? There were bright spots, of course. It wasn't like it was all darkness. But that was what I had to start to do. I had to realize it wasn't all darkness. It wasn't all pain. It wasn't all suffering. It wasn't all that bad. I mean, gosh, look out into the world. KDJ, there's people out there that have had it way worse. Don't do that. Don't let yourself suffer for the rest of your life for what you went through for those years. And I had to make a choice. What was worth more to me? Was it holding on or was it letting go? And at some point, I had to let go. And was it easy? No, it took a lot of work. And did it happen in one day? No. And were there moments when I felt like I wasn't making any progress? Sure. And were there moments when I felt like I wanted to give up? Sure. Hundreds of them. But I couldn't give up because I heard a call in my heart that I had to keep going. And I know that if you're here and you're listening to this, you have that same call to keep going. There is a burning desire within you that is asking you to listen. And if I can do it, if I could do it, you can do it. And even if you've been through things that are 100 times worse than what I've been through, there are people in the world who have been through something worse than you. And that there are people who have been through something worse and have overcome it. And if they could do it, you can do it too. And if you need those examples, you have to seek them out and you have to find them so you can see how they did it and how you can do it too. Because there's a way out for everyone. There is a way out. And part of it is, yes, listening to the heart, listening to that little whisper. I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't just kept listening to that whisper. There were times where I felt like I was floating in the wind. I had no idea where I was going, and I'm just gonna keep on listening. But don't give up. Your breakthrough is right there. It is coming. It is on the other side of letting go. The moment you let go. And remember that we are free. We are free. The only thing that makes us not free is our belief that we aren't. And it doesn't really matter anyone else, whatever anyone else thinks, as long as you believe in you. And so what you have to make really strong is your believing in you ability, right? Like believing in yourself. And maybe that doesn't feel so good right now. Maybe it feels a little weak or a little tired or a little depressed. But all you have to do is start somewhere. It's so interesting. I love seeing the incense smoke is like making pretty images on the screen. Dream deep and ask for what you want. If you're in a situation right now that you don't know the way out of, ask for help to find the strength that you know you have within you to get there. If you keep telling yourself I can't feel love, try telling yourself I can feel love. Every day I allow myself to feel just a little more love. Even if you don't believe it at first, we got to start somewhere. If you don't know how you're going to make it to next week, help me find the strength I know I have within myself. Help me find the courage I know I have within myself. Help me remember my freedom. I just want to thank each and every one of you for being here on this live stream. Thank you for bringing your comments into the chat and bringing your heart in. Thank you for the work that you are doing in your own life on yourself, for yourself, because through you, you're making a change in the world. And this is the last thing I'm going to share before we move into the meditation, and then we'll close for the day. But some of you have seen that like image. It's like keeps coming in. There's like an image that's like self growth or progress isn't linear. I don't really know. It's floating around on the internet somewhere, and it's like cartoony, and there's two parts, right? And the top one is like what it feels like today. You're just like walking along a straight line. And progress, and then there's like another one that says what it really looks like over a year, and it just shows you where you started down here and then like how you make your way all the way up here to the top of this mountain. And so even in the days when you feel like you're not making progress, when you feel like you're not getting anywhere or going anywhere, remember how far you've already come, and know that that's just a testament of how far you're actually going to go. You're not who you used to be. And who you are today is not who you're going to be in 5 years. And you get the choice of how you want to create that version. You get the choice of whether or not you want to keep holding on to the past or if you want to let go. We all have that choice. And I know some days it feels easier than others to really feel like it's a choice. Just be honest with yourself. Honesty is the best policy. Okay. Let's do a little meditation for those of you that want to stick around for that. It's always good. It's good. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll do a meditation today. Maybe I won't. Of course I'm going to do one. They're so helpful, you know? If you haven't already, you can go ahead and find that comfortable space. Either seated or laying down, whatever is calling to you today. When you're ready, go ahead and gently draw your eyes to a close. And take a moment to just feel what you're feeling right now. What thoughts are moving through your mind? What sensations are present in your body? Just notice where you are. And then gently begin deepening your breath, inviting each breath to be slower and softer than the last. And as you breathe a little deeper, begin to invite your body to let go of anything it's holding on to. Invite the breath to help soften the muscles and help you let go of any tension or resistance. Maybe you can even visualize that weight that you're carrying around on your shoulders. And just witness as the breath moves beneath it and helps lift it off. Inviting a lightness in. Maybe you can find other spaces in your body where you're still holding on to tension and where you just really haven't been able to let go. And with each deep breath, just wrap those areas in your body with the breath, gathering them up, pulling them out. And with each breath out, send them away, send them off, and envision that they are returned to their appointed place in the universe. What can you let go of today? What can you allow to soften today? And with the next breath in, gently shift your awareness into your heart space in the center of your chest. Breathing a little deeper and slower than before. Beginning to connect in with the heart. Inviting yourself to feel that gentle feeling of relaxation, of peace, of love that emanates so gently from within the heart. And with each breath into the heart, visualize your heart space expand so that it becomes wider and wider, to where it extends beyond the body, holding your entire body in the field of the heart. And invite that feeling of relaxation from the heart, of peace from the heart, to gently infuse all the particles and cells in the body. And see if you can let go just a little more. What are you willing to release right now? If you find yourself getting distracted or carried away, just bring your attention back to that deep breath, breathing a little softer and slower, feeling the breath flow into the heart and expand the heart all around your body, and letting the energy of the heart infuse back into the body, helping to renew and restore all the particles and cells that make up the precious being that is you. Just stay with this practice. Keep on going. Keep inviting that feeling to be present in the body. And maybe you're able to let go a little more. Maybe you notice as your body softens just a little more. Feel the love of your heart, the peace of your heart. Feel it in the field all around your body. And intentionally send that energy back into all the particles and cells that make up the beautiful being that is you. Notice how, as this energy comes in, it helps to push out anything that's no longer needed, helping you to more deeply let go, helping you to soften just a little more. Have the courage to be here right now, awake in the unknown, open to the miracles of life. And then, with 3 more deep breaths, seal this practice of your heart. And then gently begin bringing your awareness back to the physical space that holds you by bringing gentle movements to your fingers and toes, letting your body move in any way it's called to move. And when you're ready, flutter your eyes open and return to this precious moment in present time. Thank you all so much for joining in today, for listening to this message, and for being here for the meditation. No matter what you're experiencing in your life, no matter what you're going through, don't give up. Keep going. You will make it. You are on your path. I feel very called today, to remind us, to remind each and every one of you that come across this message, you are on your path, right where you need to be. And if you can look out into your world and you can say, well, I don't want that, and I don't want that. Remember, these experiences are here to help you find your strength, to make you stronger, to help you evolve, to help you become more of that person who can handle all those blessings and all those things that you're calling towards you. And if you need help, you can just ask, help me find the strength I know I have within myself to make it through this moment. Help me find the happiness I know I have within myself. Help me find the gratitude I know I have within myself. And with that, my dear friends, I believe that it is time to close this message. My voice has been doing this lately when it's time for me to stop speaking. So it is time for me to close this message. And I hope that this has been helpful for you. If something resonated with you today, please leave it in the comments below. Please share it with other people. Please comment on other people's comments. Join together. Realize that we're in this together. We're not alone. So many out there are going through so many similar things, even if they're very different. Yeah. And if you're new here, welcome. I hope you liked this. Feel free to subscribe for more. I've also started a membership thing on my channel, which I'm just getting used to. So you can kind of look into that by going to the homepage of my channel directly. And then I'm going to be offering some online workshops in the coming months, so you can visit my YouTube channel. You can visit my website, journeyintothesoul.com, to find out more of those. And of course, I always work one-on-one with people as well. So if you're interested in learning more of that, you can contact me, which all of that you'll find in the descriptions of this video, and also on my the description of my channel and on my website. Oh, so I hope that you all have a wonderful, beautiful rest of your day. Keep going. Don't give up. Realize that you're already free. Have courage to realize you are already free. All right. Lots of love. Until next time. Bye for now.